Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Well, yes, we have got to 600 videos on my channel, so I thought we would have a little bit of a summer celebration party and talk about all things modelling and frankly come out a bit more, and frankly we will have some champagne. I was going to have champagne on the desk and open it here, but there's a danger that this particular bottle may have been slightly disturbed and there may be a kaboom explosion, and we thought we might end up with it all over the place, so decided not to do that. Now I just have to say at the beginning today, it is very very hot here, and I've actually got fans on the desk. I've got several different types of fan, but I've got the only one that's working is the John Lewis posh one because it's very quiet, and I'm hoping that's not too disturbing. It's a very smooth fan, and it's not the most powerful, but it's very very hot. We've got 26 degrees outside at the moment, and it's strange that I was thinking about this. I'm thinking, why didn't we do this last year, because it was 500 views then, which would have been late summer, I think, in 2022. And the reality is that of course we had this 1 million in a similar style really, and at a similar time, that was actually mid-July, so it's slightly a couple of weeks later. But we had the 1 million views celebration video for the F-15E Strike Eagles, the 8 aircraft that took off, that I photographed, and had a very short video of about 3.5 minutes, and it's now got to, I think, something like, I'm guessing from the last time I saw it, but it was about 1,040,000 views or thereabouts. So it's doing pretty well still, to be honest, so quite a success, so there we go. Anyway, I'm going to talk about kits. You'll see behind me I've got many kits. I've got some ICM kits, I've got Tamiya kits, I've got some beautiful wonderful kits that I haven't built yet, I've got some not so beautiful kits that I have built, if that's the right word, butchered and created like something from a Frankenstein movie. But we won't dwell on that one too much, but I just want to talk generally really about the videos, because it's really about the 600 videos. I was trying to pick a favourite, or a couple of favourites, and I found it really difficult actually, because it's not that they're all great videos, but the subject matter, you know, I'm sure many of you are the same, that you have a big passion for the hobby, and a lot of the kits featured, there are some dogs in there obviously, but there are also some absolutely fantastic kits, and I found it really hard. I came to a bit of a dead end. I couldn't really make my mind up. Obviously there's a lot of videos that are not just model related. We've got some wildlife, we've got birds in a bird bath, I think it was this time last year in the heat wave. We've got fishing in Lake Grasmere in the Lake District, and fighter jets taking off. Bit of variety, but 95% of my videos are about model kits, it has to be said. One or two odd motor racing ones I've sneaked in there, but it's really model kits. Because that's the main interest really. But finding a winner, I couldn't really do that. I'd be interested if any of you that do follow the channel closely, if you do, any of you have got particular favourites. There were some funny ones of course last year with a sequence of disastrous episodes. That's around this time of year actually, when I had these I had the champagne spillage in the celebration video. In fact, another reason I thought I wouldn't do that today, with my glamorous assistant is going to come in about 5 or 10 minutes and hand me a freshly opened, it is Tattinger, I should have put the box in, I hadn't thought, but it's Tattinger, it's the usual one, and we're going to have that handed to me a bit safer. But there were some funnies, weren't there? There was the poor old John Bevan, I think it was, he'd sent me his Matchbox Honey Stewart tank, and we had the tracks just shatter like glass in my hand, and not once but I think 3 times. That was funny. I mean, I'm glad he saw the funny side, he wasn't bothered. They're just hardened. It was really weird. They were the sort of metallic-y rubber, but it had gone solid, like styrene, you know, and you could never form them into tracks anyway, so he couldn't have used them, so it didn't really matter. And he got some aftermarket ones and built the kit and made a really nice job of it. It looked absolutely amazing, considering I'd pretty much destroyed it. So we had that, and we had the champagne, where I knocked the champagne over and shattered it all over the floor, with champagne all over the room here, me frantically trying to mop it up, and miraculously didn't destroy the F-15E Strike Eagle from Ravel that I built, the 148th kit, survived. Anyway, I'll perhaps put those two videos in a link at the end of this one if you enjoy a laugh. Something different, isn't it? And it's so hot at the moment, I'm finding it's not, for me, it's not really modelling weather. I'm not suggesting that's true for anybody else if you've got a very cool home or whatever, but it's pretty warm here. Although as I'm leaning in here on the desk, I'm closer to the fan, so it's actually working. I feel quite cool now. It's not too bad. Anyway, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the videos. We're going to talk about some cigars. We've got some more cigars I'm trying. I had some Davidoff cigars actually yesterday. I'm not a smoker as such. It's once in a Preston Gilder. But I did go to the cigar shop in Chester last week. I had my car in for a service and I had to go into Chester to kill a few hours, so got a couple of interesting cigars. And I had these little Davidoff ones, almost a cheroot type thing. They were really good. They were very light and very pleasant, and yeah, just they didn't last too long. You smoke them in 15 or 20 minutes without impacting the old health too much, I hope. And we've got the flags out. I'm going to move the mosquito in a second. We've got many more flags behind here, so we've got more flags than ever now. We've got French flaggers come in, we've got Holland and Sweden and Denmark and Ireland. Most of the major countries in terms of where the subscribers are from are here. Sure, there'll be one or two. I've got a couple of others I couldn't fit on here. I've got Portugal and Finland, so please don't feel left out. We'll try and rotate them, yeah. And we've got some others. We've got Wales and Scotland as well, part of the UK, of course. But so we'll try and bring those in perhaps next time, but it's the desk isn't big enough, is it really? Anyway, so I thought we'd start. We'll move all this clutter out of the way. I've got my phone handy there because I need to use that to summon quality beverage. So let's see if I can actually do that right now. I'm going to, and I'll show you how I do it. It's a very good system we have here. I talked about it once before. I'll zoom you in on this. If I can just zoom you down a bit. Right, here we go. So what I do is I simply press this button on my phone. More champagne, please. And that's of course Keith Floyd's famous button in his pub, the Maltster's Arms, down in Tuckenhay, down in Devon there. And yeah, he used to have this button on the wall, still there today. So he press the button, more champagne please. So I've sent my request for champagne in, hopefully within about 5 or 10 minutes. I'm very cold because I know it's been in the fridge. It's also had about half an hour, 45 minutes in the freezer, so it should be quite nice, And I need it today because it's boiling out there. Don't know what your weather's like around Europe and perhaps North America in particular. It's I was watching the weatherman today, and he was saying that in North America you've had these terrible wildfires. I know, and he showed the satellite map, and you could see this brown cloud coming from the wildfires, and they're actually saying that in the UK we will get some of this in the upper atmosphere in the next 2 days, probably by Tuesday. 2 days, well, tomorrow. So we're going to be able to see it. I don't know if that means we're going to get deposits coming down from the sky or whatever. But that could make a mess of the cars. Anyway, I've got a new power washer for my car, so that doesn't matter. My power washer broke the other day, so I've got a nice new one arrived. I haven't actually assembled it yet, but maybe soon. In the meantime, my glamorous assistant will do the honours, perfect timing, and deliver us a nice glass of the finest beverage in the world. And here it comes, and like magic, ta-da! Look at that, thank you very much. Cheers. Oh, that's nice and cold as well. That's just what the doctor ordered. So, here's to you, all the subscribers and viewers who've watched all these videos. I'm sure most of you have seen quite a lot of them. And if you haven't, there's a lot to go at, there's lots to enjoy. But anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope you've got a nice cool drink. If you're watching this, it's Monday evening. I'm sure it's pretty warm still. So, yes, cheers to everybody. Get yourself a nice cool drink and have a refreshing beverage along with me. Cheers. Yes. Now remember what happened last year? That has got to go out in my waving arms range. So let's talk about cigars and then we'll talk about models. So zooming in, not promoting these, just random ones I've chosen. Somebody recommended this one. If you like a very light cigar, which I do, because I say I'm not really a smoker, I don't smoke regular. I have about 6 or 8 a year. Okay, so it's a treat for me. So it's a celebration thing for the 600 videos. So what we've got here, we've got Avo, and they are, if I'm not mistaken, I think they are, sorry, seem to have got a little bit confused in my camera. There we go, Avo. I think they're actually from the Dominican Republic. It says on it. Let's just open it. I think I've done a bit too much zoom. Let's come back a bit. Covered in all the smokers' warnings, of course. Avo Uvesian. Now they're a division. I think they're actually a division of Davidoff. I think it's like they're like more of an economy brand, so it's quite an affordable one. But they come in a nice tube here. It's typical classic. I forgot the terminology now for these. This size of cigar that comes in the tube is called a, not Robusto, but it's gone. The memory's gone completely. It's the heat, to be honest. But I'm sure those connoisseurs amongst you will recognise that. Might come back to me. And then we've got the one I've shown before, which I do quite like. This is more a Panatella, and this is the Charatan. And these are, I think these definitely are either Venezuela or Dominican Republic. And these are a nice cigar. It comes in a nice pack, and it's a very light, fairly sweet, just pleasant, you know, gentleman's cigar, if you like that kind of thing. Anyway, for those, we're not doing these because I'm not going to smoke them here on camera, but I will be having one of these later on. We're not a smoking channel. We're not a drinking channel. We're a modelling channel, that's for sure. So let's talk about models. So 600. Let's say of the 600, I think 550 of the videos are about models. This Mosquito is here, still a kit I haven't built, but I did talk recently, in case you missed it, and say that the only reason I haven't, this is my favourite kit of all of them. Yeah, and I've got some cracking kits, but this is my favourite kit that I want to build but can't because of lack of space. Oh, or can I? So I discovered, I'm sorry about the hum, in case you haven't noticed. You probably haven't noticed, I'm sure. It's the fan. I need it. So I actually discovered that this kit will just, and I mean just, by about 3mm fit inside my cabinet when built. And I hadn't realised that. I was convinced it wasn't going to fit. So in fact, I think I can build it. So this is going to be my probably New Year's Day onwards build, I think, for next year. Probably going to build it over probably three-month period, I would imagine, 3 to 4 months, something like that. But it's a lovely kit, and I've got quite a few extras. I'm not going to open it now because we have seen it before, but if you go and look at the review of it, it's got a very special place in my heart. It was a gift as well, so it was a very generous gift from a relative. And I don't think kits come much nicer than this. It's got 2 lovely Merlin engines in there, and we've got a few extras like, I think we've got belts and gun feed belts and you know, masking sets. Trying to think what else. Metal gun barrels, some nice ones. So it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And very importantly, I mentioned I'm going to be doing it sort of New Year time. That will be the 80th anniversary of the Amiens prison raid, which is what this aircraft is depicted as taking part in I think the 18th of Feb 44. So I'm looking forward to that. So that's an absolute peach of a kit that I'm looking forward to building. I'm going to have to move it away because it's so huge. It's definitely going to get in our way. By the way, if I get, it's not going to fall, is it? It's behaving a bit strangely. If I get in trouble, by the way, I've got these new fancy neck fans. Very noisy. You put them around your neck and it puts like a halo of air around your head. Absolutely brilliant. Last year I was showing you this silly hat. This is much more civilised. So it sucks air in through these 2 turbos and it redirects it and sort of patterns it around your head. Absolutely brilliant. Maybe a bit noisy for the video, so get those. What's it called? It's called Cafele, C-A-F-E-L-E. I think they're about £35, something like that, maybe slightly more. But it comes in a beautiful box, like an iPhone. It's like or an iPad box. Really good. Made in China, but very nice. So that's that. I thought I'd mention, because I'm sure many of you are feeling the heat a little bit. You can't avoid it, really. So now you can see all our other flags we have. Our friends in Ukraine, of course. We've got the Germans at the back here. Our US buddies across the water. We've got our cousins in Canada. And of course we've got New Zealand, Australia, Britain, France, Netherlands, Ireland, Sweden, Denmark and France. That's today's collection. So if you're not on that, if you're not in one of those countries, don't be offended. We've got lots more, but I just haven't got the room really. So I'll have to shuffle them around a bit. Anyway, more champagne please. Have another drink because you need to keep cool, keep hydrated. So 600 videos, you know, to some YouTubers that's probably not that many, but seems a lot to me. And I've been going since May 2015, so that's 8 years. It seems to have gone very quickly, I've got to be honest. I actually have a second YouTube channel, but it's not worth your time, trust me. The original one, which is just my name again. It doesn't have a picture of me, it has a picture of my cat at the time. And it dates back to, I think, 2013, something like that. There's only 20 videos on it. But if you want to look it up, you can. It's mainly, it's not models really, I don't think. It's mainly my radio control flying models. So you've probably seen them in the background. I've got my jet fighters. I should probably do a video about them, something different. Do you know what? I'm going to do that. I think for my next video presentation, I'm going to talk about radio control aircraft. Show my lack of knowledge, because I'm actually quite rusty on it. I haven't actually flown now for, oh God, I think it's 18 months. That shocks me to think of it. Is it really that long? I think it's 18 months since I last flew. Not for any particular reason, just the scale models have got in the way perhaps, and the YouTube channel as well. But in this garage I have 1, 2, 3, hang on a second, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7? Is that right? I thought I had 8. 1, 2, 3, 5 on this wall. Okay, 5 on this wall, 2 on this wall, so that's 7, plus a spare. And they're all these multiplex fun jet, radio control, electric powered pusher fighter jets. Not really a jet as such, but it goes like a jet. And these things are not big. They've only got a wingspan of about, it's less than a metre. Just under a metre I think it is. The length is about the same. And they're made of expanded polypropylene foam with a bloody great brushless motor powering a small propeller at the back, and with LiPo batteries. They go like the wind. I mean, there are 7 different versions with, I think, six different power plants in them, and for various reasons, depending on which battery and which power plant you've got, which motor setup, you've got speeds from 130 mile an hour to 170. And the biggest problem, it sounds impressive, and trust me, it is, and a couple of them make this wailing sound like a V12 Ferrari Formula 1 car at full revs. It sounds very like that actually. Really does have that scream. And the problem with them is, they're great fun, I'll talk about them more in the next video, but I say they get incredible speed, but they are so small, and my eyes are, I've just been for an eye test actually, my eyes are getting a little bit knackered now, to be honest. So I was actually advised by the lady who did the optician that did my eyes, the test, and she said, I think you should invest in some really good long range glasses, because she doesn't think I need them for driving, but when I explained about this hobby, she said, I think you want to reconsider, because that, yeah, she says, are they dangerous? And I said, if one of those hits you 170 mile an hour, you're gone, you know, there's no doubt they're very dangerous, yeah. And she sort of looked a bit worried and said, oh, I think she should get some new glasses. Any excuse to sell me a pair, eh? But yeah, they're tiny, these things, and these zipper crowns, it literally takes your breath away. I've had people stand next to me and say, can I watch? And they kind of wish they hadn't, because it comes toward you, you think, oh no, and even I get frightened, you know. Anyway, we'll talk about them more in another video. Today we're talking kits. Something I should talk about straight away is actually about our friends at ICN, and of course I've got many of their products out here in front of us, including the lovely Bronco, which we've already done the review on. You've seen that last week, I'm sure. Just wanted to clear up slight change in the intentions going forward, only in regard to this arrangement I've got where they're going to send me kits for review. They've pointed out that their company policy doesn't allow anybody to sell on a kit that they've provided directly, because it potentially undermines the local countries' distributors, model shops, or the major distributor who supplies the model shops. So they've actually asked me not to sell on via eBay. I wanted to make this public so people knew exactly where we stood. So they've said you can donate them, you can give them to people, and if they want to make a donation, then that's their choice basically. Or you can donate them to models for heroes or anything really. I need to investigate this a bit more in terms of what the options might be in terms of just donating them to a charity, sending them to a Ukrainian charity. But they did point out that they support Ukrainian charities a lot in their own country already. They're a big supporter of several, and of course they support the Ukrainian economy themselves. So what I would say to people is that it's kind of potentially maybe better in a way for those that are viewing that would like one of these kits. Let me know, drop me a message if you'd like me to donate you one of these at no charge, but I would have to claim for the postage because it's a cost. Yeah, so if I have to post it to somebody, I'll just charge you. Let you know what the postage would be. If you then pay me directly £4 or £5, because that's probably what it's going to be, I would think. And then, as long as the postage is covered, then you can have the kit for free as a donation. But I would just ask people, if we do that you make I'm not going to stipulate how much, but just make a donation to one of the Ukraine support charities to help them a bit. I think that'd be quite nice. I don't need to know perhaps how much you give, but I would like to know that they've given something. I think that would be fair, and I think that keeps ICM happy because I'm not then selling the kit anymore. There's no transaction in any way, which was never my intention anyway. I just wanted to try and do the right thing and help raise some more money for Ukraine, really. And I think they're happy with that. So let me know. And it makes it perhaps tricky now because then 2 or 3 of you may want a particular kit, and I'll probably just have to pull your names out of the hat, and I will do it fairly. I promise you. I won't go, oh, he's one of my mates, or I won't do anything like that. I'll literally, if there's multiple people wanting an item, I'll just literally cut the names out, put them in a piece of paper, cut them out, stick them in a bowl or something, and just get my wife to pull them out, and I'll let you know. And if you're not the lucky one, then just keep trying because you might be lucky next time. But yeah, so we're not selling them on. We're not having an auction for them. We're just donating them and kind of trusting the viewers and subscribers. And based on the past, I know that I did this last year, unrelated to ICM. I did this with the Rebel kit, and the gentleman who got this is where we had the Eagle, Strike Eagle, 72nd scale from Revell. And the gentleman Gary who won the auction, this was on the night of the ladies' football final, the Euro finals, and of course the British girls won, the English team won, and most of us, me included, were all watching the football, forgot all about this auction, and so it didn't go for that much money. And this gentleman Gary, he very kindly actually did another donation to Ukraine because he recognised he got it really cheaply, and he got a book as well. And I met him at Telford. He was a really nice guy. So Gary, if you're watching, thanks very much. Anyway, so that's the kind of thing I'd like to do again. Just put it over to you, the viewers. Let me know if you want one of these kits. 1 or 2 of them I'll be keeping. I'm probably going to keep this one in fairness. But the staff. It sounds like I'm trying to keep them all myself now. It's just coincidence, really. If I keep this, I'll donate the 48 scale one, so that's even more generous on my part. That's a good donation. So that's no robbery, is it? Staff car, I think I'm going to keep because I think I'd like to do a Rommel scene or have Rommel depicted in the car. The Heinkel HE111, yes, that's up for grabs, so let me know if you want one. And as I say, I'm sort of trusting people that they would say, I mean, if you want to show me that you've sent a donation with the details, that'd be great. Email me privately. I won't publish it. I just like to know that you've made a donation. That's all. I think that they need all the help they can get, and this would be a nice way of doing it without me getting involved in any transactions. So there you go. So that could be quite a nice way of you getting your hands on some nice kits, all of you. So have a think about that and how you'd like to do it, and let me know. And I would just, as I say, the only charge I will make is just to cover the postage at cost. So 1 or 2 of you were asking me the question about this, actually, saying would you sell them, because I'm not selling them now, I'm donating them, but would you give them to like America or other countries? Well, it's very awkward in America and Australia and places like that, mainly because of our British Royal Mail are very unreasonable, frankly, with their charges. They're crazy charges they seem to put on, more than other companies do. But if you can arrange collection, of a kit, then that's it. I don't need to charge anything. And you know, if it's like a UPS or FedEx or something like that, if you want to, you know, arrange a pickup, so that you handle the cost of the shipping, then yes, there's no reason why someone in Seattle or New York or Canberra or anywhere can't have one. But I don't really want to get involved in international shipping, to be honest. So if you can handle that side of it and arrange it to be collected, I don't mind doing the administration bit of it. But yeah, there you go. So this opens it up more, doesn't it? More possibility for people to enjoy some of these ICM kits. Maybe if you can, as I was going to say no charge, but if you can make a donation, I think that would be nice, really. And if you could sort out any complicated shipping, if you want to handle that, I'll just wrap it up and prepare it and hand it to the shipper with a sticker on it. Job done, really. Everybody's happy. ICM are happy. I'm happy. I've done the right thing and helped everybody. All good. No losers. So let's talk a bit more about general things. Let's talk about good kits, bad kits. What were your favourite videos? That's the thing, really, isn't it? What were your favourite videos from my channel? You can see over time how my style, that's the right word, has evolved. I suppose that the inevitable black gloves, watch, jacket, the flags now, the lights, everything's there, isn't it? And I like to keep the same sort of theme going. It's almost like a little brand, really. But if I'm really honest, I think my personal favourites are actually not necessarily the model-related videos. I quite like the others. So I was looking at one or two of them. There was the Battle of Britain video, which I didn't get many views. I think I only got 800 views or something like that. I was just disappointed about that. So it's actually one of my best in terms of, I think it's about 90 minutes, and it's a historical vid talking about the Battle of Britain. And I put a lot of research into it, and I am actually surrounded by support material. I have got lots of models in front of me, but I've also got books and DVDs, all sorts of things that I then bring in and talk about. I really enjoyed making that one, so I might put a link at the end here. Try and catch that one if you can. No one who's watched that video has come back with anything negative to say at all, so it must be okay. It's just perhaps it doesn't catch people's eye. Perhaps I don't know, perhaps it's not promoted enough, but that's a good one. The other ones I enjoyed were well, what did we have recently? We had the Dam Busters, of course, that's another one. We had the 80th anniversary, and again that wasn't quite as popular as I expected, whereas other videos I don't expect to be popular go through the roof, like the interesting model review we did when I had that horrible chest infection flu back in March, I think it was, of this year. I was coughing and sputtered, it sounded like I was dying, and I couldn't do anything about it because I delayed and delayed and delayed. I needed to get the video out before it was Andy's Hobby Headquarters, their new excellent Tacom partnership, where he produced this 16 scale Tiger. There's been a few negative comments about that. Well, about me coughing is one negative comment. Couldn't be avoided. But the other negative comment was about the kit. Was a few people have said, oh, it's not got an interior, but man, it's 150 odd pounds. I mean, put an interior in that would be £225 plus, and I'm not sure. I don't know. There is a place for tanks with interiors, but I think 16 scale probably isn't it, because it just becomes too much plastic. I mean, you saw how much plastic is in that enormous box. Anyway, the point I was making, because I've digressed as usual, was that was 29,000 views. That is the most popular model video I have made. Absolutely amazing. I thought I'd get 5,000 to 10,000 views if I was lucky, not 3 times that. That's incredible. So it just shows sometimes that even though I feel it's my best work, and that clearly wasn't because I was barely able to breathe, but people like the subject, and the fact that even Andy from Andy's Hobby Headquarters, he gave me a thumbs up and made some nice comments and said thank you for your review, it was really good. And I enjoyed doing it, but just wasn't quite at my best, unfortunately. But it didn't seem to stop the viewers from watching it and enjoying it, so there we go. But then, as I say, these other ones, I mean, I did the video, another historical one about the Amiens prison raid, about the Mosquito. That hasn't done particularly well either. The one where I'm actually talking about the Tamiya kit gets more views than the one I'm talking about the raid. And I did the one about Steve McQueen, of course, and also the Final Countdown movie, things like that. So many different things really that sort of catch my eye and I enjoy talking about. There's a Formula 1 video, another one that wasn't very successful. All ones where, when I'm talking about a product, don't seem to do that well, so I must be a bit boring, I guess. And that was the one about the Lotus 88. Funny story about that, actually. Oh no, it's not coming back now. Dust. Funny story about that video. It's I think it's called The Most Successful Formula 1 Car That Never Raced. It's Colin Chapman's Lotus 88. And I was very passionate about that era of Formula 1, the early 80s. And this was about 1981 in particular. And somebody has pointed out, who I thought he was taking the mickey, but he wasn't, sadly. And he said, "Listen, Pete, have a closer look at that. Have you seen the short shot on the bodywork of your side panel on that car? There's a great big piece missing." And I thought, there isn't. And I went and got the... It's only about 3 weeks ago. And I went and got the kit out and looked at it. Do you know what? He's dead right. And because what I did is I checked it against somebody else had done a similar review, and I checked their review when they show the sprue. And the halfway down this side point, it's got this great big, and it's a strange shape, so it almost looks deliberate. It looks like it's part of the car design. I thought it was a gap in the panel where there's going to be an intake, and it isn't. It's a short shot with a great big chunk. So this is the Ebro 1/20th scale Lotus 88B, and there's a great big chunk out of it. I don't know what I'm going to do about that. I mean, I could fix it, of course, but well, a bit annoyed really, because I paid full price for the kit. It wasn't supposed to be like that. Rather frustrating. I might need to contact the distributors and say, look, and you can see, you know, I've got the proof of showing it being open for the first time on video, so I've got proof that it is defective from manufacturer. But anyway, that video didn't do too well either, and I was very disappointed because it's, again, I have a big passion for Lotus and Colin Chapman, and I thought that I would have expected more from that. So, I'm not moaning here, I'm just saying certain subjects that excite me don't excite the viewers, and vice versa, you know. I mean, I did a review back in autumn time. One of the viewers, I'm sorry, it might be John Fogo, or please forgive me if I get it wrong, trying to remember. One of you, was it Paul? One of you, I can't remember now, sent me the Junkers JU188 from Matchbox, the orange range. It was a beautiful example, and said you can keep it, which is very, very kind of you. And that is a kit that if you say you can keep it, it's gone, you never see it again. Straight into the archive warehouse, along with the Lost Ark and the Holy Grail and all the other ones. By the way, the Holy Grail was the name of the video, of course, that had the big tiger tank in it from Andy's Hobby Headquarters. So maybe that helped it get people's attention, I don't know. But anyway, this gentleman sent me this kit, and I think that's now the second most popular ever review I've done. So it's just 72nd scale Matchbox bomber, you know, and I think it's got 17,000 views. Absolutely amazed me. I thought it would get 3 or 4 if I was lucky, you know. So it's very hard to gauge what's going to be popular and what's not going to be. And I think, oh, I've done this brilliant, this is going to go really well. Well, I mean, I had that with the Heinkel 111 just over my shoulder here, but I did goof up on that, and I should probably come clean and apologise now. Let me have a drink, because I'm going to have to swallow some humble pie in a second. Oh, that's nice. Not had it for ages. Well, the last time I had that was the last time on video. Sea Harrier, wasn't it? When I finished the Sea Harrier. Oh, less said about that the better. More on that later. So, last week, on Wednesday night, we had the premiere, or we should have had the premiere, of this Heinkel HE111, which is a lovely kit from ICM, really nice. But no, what happened was, I had scheduled it for Monday as normal. In fact, it would have been shown today. this Monday, the 26th of June 2023. And then I brought it forward because I wasn't quite sure how busy I was going to be and what I was going to be doing in the evenings. And then I thought, no, I'm going to be busy on Wednesday night. And then I put it back in my head. I put it back, but I didn't physically change the date back, and I forgot. So what I normally do is I load, do any editing. Well, I don't really edit as such, but I can do some editing on YouTube if I need to add music and things like that. That gets done several days before the video is ever seen. Normally, it's very rare it's on the same day. Excuse me. And then what I normally do is I initially load them up, and then I'll go back a day or so beforehand. Unlike the Dam Busters movie, which is when I should say, get over yourself, done it again, haven't I? I'm not Steven Spielberg. Dream on. But the Dam Busters one was on like 3.5 weeks or something ahead. But it was actually a bit of a con that, not to trick anybody else, it was to remind me to shoot the video, which I hadn't shot. And I wanted to get people interested in it, and I wanted to remind myself that I had a limited time to do it in, because I knew it was going to be quite a complicated video to shoot. A multi-element video where I'm going to have a slideshow and read from the book and show you photographs and all these kind of multimedia things. And I knew that I needed to, there's a danger of me leaving it to the last minute and making a mess of it. And I didn't. I did it about 4 or 5 days ahead of it actually being published. So that's why that was 3 weeks ahead, because that was quite a big project and with a deadline, a specific date, and I wanted to keep reminding myself and get people interested as well, but it was mainly to remind myself. Now I did the opposite this time. This Heinkel one was a bit of a slip up where I forgot to make it a premiere, completely forgot, because I thought I was going to be out late on Wednesday evening. Kind of true, but it wasn't that late. I couldn't have done it. It was fine, you know. And I just forgot, and then my wife said, excuse me, I was out watering the plants or something, and my wife came and said, hello, is this supposed to be on now? Because people are asking why there's no live chat and where the premiere is. So I apologise to all you, I apologise to ICM, small slip up. It doesn't seem to have hurt the Heinkel popularity much. I probably gain about 100-150 views at the start on a premiere of something like that, 100 to 150. I'll get quite a good head start, and I didn't get the head start that I normally got. I think it's up to close to 2,000 views, but I think it probably deserves 3 or 4 in fairness. But again, there's no predicting it really. So if you haven't seen that, the Paravane, the Heinkel HE111H8, go watch it. It's an amazing kit, and it's a weird aircraft, very strange, completely crazy concept really. Somebody was, again, some of the viewers, many of you will comment afterwards, and there's some really interesting comments. One guy was telling me that the RAF, the research establishment, were, I think it was at Farnborough or maybe at, the mind's gone, a place near Stonehenge where they've got the big testing centre there. Brain's gone blank. He said, oh yeah, we had the same idea. We were going to do that with Wellington bombers, but they were virtually crashing them almost. It was such a violent thing when they crashed into these barrage balloon support tension wires. You know, it was abandoned. I don't know whether anybody got hurt or killed, but I can well imagine they might. Seems like a crazy concept to me. Crashing into wires, suspended wires at 200 or 300 miles an hour doesn't sound like a very sensible idea to me. Anyway, so as I say, here's the humble pie. So I needed to apologise to ICM for that little slip up. A rare mistake, in fairness, because I'm very well organised usually. Just the heat got to me, I think, and I just forgot to put it back. So it should have been tonight. And so we're kind of making this video, which would have probably been next week really, and we're having this one instead today. So there we go. Anyway, going back to the thing about my favourites. There's a selection of my favourite vids. They are mainly the historic ones, but if you were to press me and say what are your favourite kit reviews, that gets quite hard. I mean, I love all the Matchbox kits, of course. I think these ones where I've had like a tale of 2 Wellingtons, or a tale of 3 Harriers. What was the other one we had? A tale of 2 Tomcats, was it? And so on. they're quite good because you sort of see the comparison between the kit manufacturing process from the 1970s and today. When you get a modern Airfix, for example, and an old Matchbox or a modern ICM, you see the latest tooling. Very impressive it is too. And again, I'll just say a few words about ICM and thanking them for their very generous offer to. I mean, they basically send me a list of everything that's new, and if I want, I can have them all. You know, I feel that would be a bit cheeky. I don't want to do anything that would be unfair. You know, I don't want to take advantage. And but given that I'm now not selling them anymore, I'm just passing them on. Maybe I should do that. Maybe it's better for ICM if I actually do accept their offer of all of them, really. If they're going to be then sent on and people are going to get a benefit, and if they then make a donation to Ukraine, which I hope they do, then that's a good thing, because it achieves ICM's commercial goals. It achieves my goal of having some material that's interesting for you to watch, and then you modelers can get a kit perhaps at a lower price and perhaps make a donation to Ukraine, which is good for the people that need it. So everybody gains. It's a win-win, isn't it, really? So maybe I should do that. Maybe I'll drop them a line and change my policy and say this is why I'm doing it. I'm not now involved in any kind of transaction. I'm just passing them on to various viewers. See what happens. Because that way we could have a lot more. They do a lot of figures, which I think we should look more at. I think that's something I need to delve into more. They initially said, of course, that they recognise I like aircraft in the main. It's my probably number one favourite subject, as it is for most of you, it seems. And you can tell that from the viewings on the staff car, because that had a premiere and everybody tuned in. But after the premiere, and it happens every single time, we've talked about it, and even other people like Jason at Model Kit Stuff, he talked about this. If you get something that's a bit off-beam that other people are not that keen on, he's into ships, of course, and that's a bit of a niche within a niche, and the cars are the same, perhaps worse. You don't get so many people viewing car videos. All my car videos are amongst my least successful ones. It's just the way it is. But the Bronco is popular. That's done good business. I think it's done 3,000 views or thereabouts, from memory. So yeah, we'll try and expand a bit and get into a bit of some figures and some armour and trucks and things. I think we've got a couple of trucks coming soon, so that'll be something quite exciting to look at. Anyway, I'm going to talk about one or two others. Talk about the favourite videos. Still trying to get my head around which were my favourites. I did enjoy the Christmas one I did last year, which was one where I did for the first time I actually did a Kits of the Year review, and one or two other people started doing the same thing. Now it does rely on you being able to get your hands on most of the kits that come out, which is the biggest problem, and that's a problem for all of us YouTubers, I think. Because as I said before ICM came along, I'd never had any tie-in with any manufacturer. Everything you see is either lent to me by friends or relatives, or I have bought them. Now I do sell some on that I've bought, because I haven't got limitless space, you know, and I can't build them all. People say, you're going to build that, you're going to build that. And everybody assumes, well, not everybody, but quite a lot of people do assume that I'm going to build every one I review. It's just impossible. You couldn't do that, of course. I think for me I'm going to switch that off now, because I think it's cooled down a little bit. It's actually not quite as hot. We're expecting some thunderstorms. You can feel it's cooler. When I first sat down in here, my wife said you're going to have to take the jacket off because you'll be boiling. And I said, yeah, I think you're right. Well, actually, it's okay now. But I can feel the temperature surging because I've put the fan off anyway. So, yeah, my favourites, I think. I do quite like some of these. There's been one or two funny videos, of course, but nothing is intended to be... Yeah, I do a bit of comedy with the Shakespeare and all that sort of stuff, and talking about alcoholic beverages. But none of the incidents or accidents we've had, none of that's been staged, I can promise you. It was all genuine disasters on the spot. I mean, that I ought to do that one where I knocked the glass flying. I ought to do that as a short, because I could probably do that. I don't know if I've got the original file there still. I think I'm going to delete it. That would make quite a good short though, wouldn't it, on YouTube for 10-20 seconds. Or the one where I go ping and snap poor old John Bevan's tracks. That was quite funny as well, because I didn't see it coming, and it was like, oh my god, oh. And I keep talking instead of just putting it down straight away. I think in my mind as I'm talking, I'm thinking, Lightning's not going to strike twice, but it damn well did, didn't it? 3 times it happened. Even the little stub at the end where it's supposed to connect the track ends, even that broke off. Ouch. It's getting a bit warm now. Oh. So anyway, I'm just going to reel off a few that I enjoyed making as well. So I enjoyed the Andy's Hobby Headquarter Tiger Tank, even though I wasn't feeling very well. That was good. Sadly, one that I didn't enjoy, a very short video of about 20 odd seconds that I shot when I had COVID, and it was the Queen's Globemaster C-17 flight, the Queen's coffin that was being returned from Edinburgh to London for a funeral back in September. It was on my birthday, in fact. So that was a bit of a sad one, in which there was no. It was just I tracked the aircraft on flight radar, I think it was, and I tracked it, and I was actually surprised to see it because I didn't think we'd see it from where we live because we're quite well over to the west here of the Pennines, but it kind of flew roughly over the Pennines, this aircraft, on the Manchester Airport sort of flight path, north-south I mean, from the north to the south. And it was clearly visible, and you could see it on the video. And I promise you, that is the Queen's flight with the Queen's coffin is on board that short video. It isn't just a random aircraft, I promise you. And I was amazed that we could see it from here. I could just make it out, and you could clearly see it's the C-17, and there were no others at the time. So yeah, that was a bit sad, really, to see Her Majesty's coffin being flown back to London for the lying in state, and then the funeral, of course. So that was a bit of a sad one. Had some interesting ones with aircraft flying around above us, like the Anson from Avro, and of course I talked about this in the Airfix review. And I'm just thinking about them. I'm going to have to get my computer out. I'm going to have to get my computer out, and I think we should just look at the screen and have a look at these. And I need the prompt, really, unfortunately. So if you bear with me just 1 second, we will do that. I think that would be quite interesting to see them all. So I'm trying not to sneeze, it's a lot of hay fever, pollen in the air at the moment. Let's just have a go. My channel and videos. Right, so here we go. So here's the list. And by the way, I recently turned 6,000 subscribers. So 600 videos, 6,000 subscribers. And we have here, I'll zoom you in for this because I think you'll enjoy this. See something instead of me just waffling on. Let's have something to talk about. So, here we are. So, ones I've enjoyed, yes, obviously the recent ones I've enjoyed a lot. And then of course there was the Wingnut Wings Lost Ark. Well, that was fun. Going through that, there was beautiful kits, absolute masterpieces. Then of course I did these, the series where somebody had, just zoom back for this, somebody had made the comment saying, very rudely actually, some people say, do you actually build any of these kits? And I get this all the time. I know I'm not the most prolific builder, of course I'm not, compared to, you know, someone like Phil Flory. It amazes me people like him that they can build them that fast, you know. I go into a kit in a very, probably overly meticulous way. I'm not trying to make a virtue of this, I don't think it's the way. I think, I watch Phil Flory and he looks like he's having a lot more fun than I am. And others, you know, a lot of you as well. And I go into it in a very serious, very meticulous, sort of Ron Dennis OCD way. Everything has to be perfect, and I think I let that get in the way sometimes. But somebody had made this comment, do you ever actually build any of them? And then a second guy the same week, I think, on another video said, you're a scammer, mate. And this guy apologised at the end, so this is quite funny. And he said, I think he was Spanish or Portuguese, and he said, you're just a scammer as far as I'm concerned. You never build anything, all you do is open a box, show some stuff. Don't think you know anything about models, looks like you've never built one in your life. So I thought, perhaps I'm not doing enough of showing people what I've actually done. So that's why I produced this little short series saying, what's your favourite model? Because then you could think about the ones that you like the most from your own collection. And here you can see, you know, that we had a whole series of them. Just give you an example. Yeah, tiger tanks and things, you know. I don't want to show the whole video, but I showed a variety of different things. Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Well, so let's just turn him down. We don't need two of me. That's too many, isn't it? Having me in stereo. Look, it's like mini me. Anyway, I'm digressing. But the point I was going to show you was that in this video we talk about other things. We talk about interesting varieties of different subjects like figures, animals. You know, I showed here the little pussycat from Tamiya that comes in one of the sets with all the ammunition boxes and the loader set, I think it's called. So yeah, we got to see a few different things, and then flashing forward, some of the ICM kit there, and then we got the Spitfire out, which of course is the beautiful Tamiya example. There we go, and you can see that yes, I do build these models, in fact, being no doubt at all. So yeah, anyway, we won't dwell on that because I don't want to bore you, because I'm sure most of you have seen that already. So we'll go back to where we were. So yes, I did this little series here. Did this series showing the various examples, different things I've done. That was a classic, wasn't it? The one with the motorbike, which I think is probably, yeah, there we go. And I was saying basically that I thought this was probably my finest build in terms of quality. Absolutely precision. And I don't say that about all my builds because they're just not always that great. I make mistakes just like you do. We all do that, but just once in a while you perhaps hit that sweet spot and you just get the thing absolutely right and sort of nail it a little bit. And this was one example of it. One example of a really nice one that came out absolutely spot on. And the interesting thing with this, I'm not sure if yeah, here we are. The interesting thing with this one, of course, is the chain, the working chain, which is absolutely genuine and very complicated and very fiddly to create. Really does set it off there, you know. Gives you an absolutely fantastic little kit. And then we've got the Sea Harrier, which we have to talk about that, don't we, really? So basically, get rid of that. Sea Harrier, here we go. Oh my goodness. Now this was the mother of all trials. And here it is. I've actually provided the box here. Look. To remind me, I haven't thrown it away because I want to remind myself of the pain I suffered, the hell I went through with it. I mean, I got pulled up by Phil Flory on one of his shows, and I have to say, if you're watching Phil, you made a mistake here, because he said there's no difference between that and the FA2 I built. It's exactly the same kit. No, it isn't, I'm afraid. It's not the same kit at all. Quite a lot of the parts are, actually, yes, that's a fair comment, but the point he's missed, because I don't think he's watched my video, commented on something he hadn't really watched, and all it was, Phil, is the fact that apart from the first page of the instructions where it shows the cockpit, the rest of the instructions are completely different. And the FA2, the later version, they did improve the instructions, making a lot more sense. Still not great, but making much more sense. The Sea Harrier FRS1 instructions are absolutely dire, and I had a damn good rant about it, and I take back nothing. I was absolutely right. Anybody that buys that kit and then starts building it is going to have difficult mental time, I can tell you. Not good for your mental health. So I did two videos here, and they were probably two of the most popular. You know, I've got 4,500 views, and then part two, I had to do it in two parts because I had a bit of a foul up on the technical side, and I had to make it a second part. So, but I still got what's that, 7,000 views out of it, so that's really quite good. And then going back, we had the actual final reveal, which of course looks really nice at the end, but shows some of the struggle I had. Perhaps we should just take a quick look at that, and I'll wind back to some of the problem areas. Yeah, there we go. Yes, many problems. And I'm just going to, sorry, cut across there to get my champagne, sorry about that. Put the music on. Horrible. Horrible. Well, these are not horrible, but they don't tell you where to put them in the right places. You need lots of photographs. Horrible. I had to drill all my own holes and make all sorts of mods to make it look half decent. Yeah, they weren't the sharpest, I've got to say. But yeah, he does at the end. If you put the work in, it builds into a nice kit at the end, of course. But you got to put the hours in on this one. This is not a shake and bake kit at all. Horrible. You can see it's looking okay now though, because it's all been worked on. Once you get the primer on, most of the battles are over, but there's still one or two. Here we go. The awful instructions that tell you nothing. Don't even give you part numbers when there's multiples that are very similar. You can easily mix them up. Doesn't tell you where things go, or points in a vague direction, or tells you the wrong information, completely wrong. You can see it's coming. It's got its first coat of its extra dark sea grey there, and this is the tank, weathering of the tanks. That came out really well. I used some chipping fluid on that. It really did do quite well. Nasty joins. This part of the kit was fine. There was no problems at the back at all. It was really weird. Apart from they didn't tell you how to assemble it properly again. This is where there was lots of problems with antennas. All told to put in the wrong positions. Completely wrong. Also the fit of the window here. That wasn't good. Not good at all really. Oh, my glamorous assistant is coming to help just in the nick of time as my champagne got really warm. Oh. Thank you very much, darling. Look at that, brand new one, icy cold. Thank you. Look at that. The decals, right? There's a Flory team looking with a very scornful eye at my work. And there's my Sidewinder 9L lemurs, heat-seeking missiles. And a little brain gun ladder. Oh, I've ruined it with the Flory wash. Oh no, it's okay, it wipes off. I did wonder. And this is the end when it actually starts to look really quite nice, I've got to say. Sorry, I'm trying not to laugh because I'm thinking about all the difficulties I had. Looks great now in the pictures, you know. Again, that wasn't even shown in the instructions. I mean, it's just bizarre, everything about it really. Intakes that weren't even mentioned in the instructions that I only knew about from photos. So, you know, not good enough really, is it? Oh yeah, the outriggers are too long, so I had to make modifications there to make it sit down properly. So there's the finished product, okay. And it does look quite nice. I look at it in my cabinet now. There he is, Sharky Ward, ready for another mission, complete with his bomb underneath. There's love from Sharky on it. Love from Sharky, there you go. Well, there we are. I thought it was worth just showing that again because it was one that did amuse people. I know I'll just knock off the music now, but and that's how it ends. But it does look the business. In the cabinet it looks really nice. But it was a pig of a kit. And not unbuildable at all, no. But just unnecessarily stupid and annoying. Really stupid. Anyway, we'll digress. We'll go away from that. It looks great out of the end. I look at it and think you should be proud of it, you know. And I am. But I think a less experienced modeller or a newcomer would just look at that and look at it in the box and you think, as I did, you think, that's beautiful. But it doesn't go together well. And it's not helped by the worst instructions I've seen in years, really. Look from Sharky, there you go, look. Let's just go back on that. Let's just show you that a little bit closer. There you go, love from Sharky. Yeah, I mean, it looks great, doesn't it? Sharky came out really well. I didn't have any problems with him at all, actually. He even painted well. And that was the Aerobonus figure. Yeah, anyway, there we go. So, that was the sort of nightmare of the year so far. So we'll move on from that, but zoom out. And we'll go back to the rest of the videos. Recent ones, we had the A10 from Academy, several winglet wings. We had the Lancaster bomber, of course, Dan Buster's Lancaster, from it's not a retool, it's just a reboxing, or it's like reissue, I should say, from Tamiya. We've had the F-35 from Tamiya, which was my model kit of the year. Not my favourite subject, but it was bought as a gift on Christmas Day, and I'd already decided I was going to shoot this video, and it was nothing to do with the generosity of the gift, which was really good, so thank you to the person who gave it me. But it was just instantly, it just changed the battlefield, so to speak. The playing field was altered immediately when I saw it. I was like, wow. No, sorry, the kit that I thought was the best isn't quite as good. And so it became kit of the year. So, come out of that one. And then you got those lovely MG sports cars. We had been moaning about my dusty cabinets. And then we had Steve McQueen's Porsche, which I was very proud of, by the way. That was actually quite a decent kit in the end, but again needs a lot of work. Not the best premium product, if we're honest, from Fujimi. What's going on this one? Le Mans, the movie. again, you only got to show a car and instantly people lose interest. Well, I hope you're still with me. I don't mind me just showing that because I quite enjoyed that. I thought it's got the soundtrack from the Le Mans movie by Michel Legrand, I think it was. Yeah, it brings back that feeling of the movie very well. But yeah, cars, they're not people's favourite modelling subjects, I don't think. So, I mean, I can't flick through it. There was the Queen's flight, you know. Then we had these lovely matchboxes. Several of these were donated or lent anyway, loaned by people. Some are mine, some were loaned. We've got fishing in Grasmere. All sorts of interesting things. We've got Marivox kits, we've got Frog kits that came through. Frog, brilliant. Spitfire 9 with the flying bomb. All manner of things really. Several people loaned me. Was that James Mower that loaned me that one? I can't remember. I think it was. Alpha Jet. Some absolutely wonderful stuff. I'm flicking through these, you can't really see. Oops. I should just go back because you probably didn't get the benefit of that actually. I was talking about them, but there we go. That's back to where we were. Yeah, so these are some of the examples of and they're just in the last year. This is Supermarine Stranraer there. That was a nice one. That was actually donated by a very good friend of ours in Australia from Canberra, Lewis Fredrickson, who sent that kit all the way from Canberra free of charge, at his cost of postage, and said how much he enjoyed the videos that I do. And please keep this kit, and it's just an absolute mint example, an absolute peach, that kit. So nice, so kind of, such generosity as well from many people actually, and that's just a classic example of it. And then we've got all sorts of different things here. We've got the Sauber Mercedes from Le Mans. We've got that was the one that caused the problem, caused the problems on the day of the champagne spill. Well, it wasn't the kit's fault; it was my fault. This is the one that Gary I mentioned earlier. He took that one. Then we've got here the Ghost of Kiev, which is actually the ICM kit, which David Mummery won in the auction, and all the proceeds of that went to the Ukraine Disasters Emergency Committee. And you got a Tale of Two Victors, Tale of Two Matchbox Victors. Ooh, sorry, there's two versions. I should have explained that. This is a Tale of Two Matchbox Victors, where I show a Matchbox Victor that was from the first issue in terms of the instructions, and then you could see the Hong Kong ownership that it had in the mid-80s and how it differed and how it sort of went a bit off the rails a little bit, to be honest. That was quite interesting. Then we got Spencer Pollard's fascinating books, the Legacy books, where he talks about Francois Verlinden. That was very interesting as well. Concorde, of course, we had a Concorde celebration last year, and of course last year we had these here we had these books on the Falklands which I reviewed, and that's something I forgot to mention. I've done that a few times now. We had a Falklands review, and I did the review, my Dam Busters review, talking about the anniversary, was basically a review of the Chastised book by Max Hastings, who also did a Falklands book which we talked about. But those Sea Harrier books were very, very useful to help me in my challenge to build the kinetic Sea Harrier. And I found that very enjoyable to do. Yeah, I really did. And then we've got some other interesting kits. We've got the Flogger, the Forge I should say. This is the Soviet jump jet based on the Kiev cruiser. I think all these were loaned by James Mower, so thanks to James for that. And then we got all sorts of other stuff. We had Paul Hunter, I think he supplied the Mistel, or was it John Bevan? John Bevan maybe. But this is a time when we had Paul Hunter supplying things like the Natter, all manner of stuff here. We had the Falklands celebrations. Another kit that was donated to me was a USS Indianapolis from Matchbox, and I've not got it. It's the only boat I've got in my collection, actually. Would you believe? Ship. Sorry. I don't think Jason from Model Kit Stuff will appreciate calling it a boat. Sorry about that, dude. Terminology problems. Champagne's kicking in there. And then I did all these things about the Falklands War. I did some quite serious, meaningful videos, especially this one, which was basically a photo montage about the Falklands. Let me just show you a little bit of this. Just cut the music a little bit. Don't need it too loud, this one. But this is the Falklands War, which was, I feel it's a little bit forgotten about, and I think these guys who fought in this conflict on both sides deserve to be remembered and celebrated. Yeah. Let me just zoom in a bit more. There we go. Let's probably speed it up a little bit. Rex Hunt, the governor of the islands, and the commandos, brave commandos who fought such a valiant action under was it Commander Ian North, I think the commanding officer. He was brilliant. Played by Bob Peck in the movie, of course, and ungentle in the act, and there they are as prisoners of war. But like Arnold Schwarzenegger said famously, "I'll be back," and they were. Several of those were the guys you see at the end raising the flag for victory, having conquered the actual the invasion, and the Argentines surrendered, of course. So yeah, those guys, they had their day of victory and put the humiliation of defeat well behind them. There's a Harrier GR3 with a laser guided bomb. It's the first time that British forces ever used the laser guided bomb, in fact. Supplied by the US. And this is on ascension with the Vulcans. And the Harriers, of course, the GR3s. It is quite a long video, this, so I'll just skip it a little bit. Operation Black Book, of course, where they bombed the runway at Port Stanley with Vulcan victory. The Sea Harriers on Hermes, this is, taking off. Sharkey Ward blasts the Pucara of Major Tomba. Carlos Tomba's Pucara, riddled with bullets, goes down. And he survived, of course. And there's Sharkey Ward, my hero. And because he said that Tomba was one of the bravest pilots he'd ever met, because he refused to actually eject until the very last minute. He had literally about a second left in which to eject. And this is the sad sight of the General Belgrano cruiser going down, having been torpedoed by HMS Conqueror, I think it was. Conqueror, yeah. There were 2 support ships and they fled the scene and didn't rescue the survivors, which I find very strange. And then, of course, the war starts in earnest, and you get the Sunday Times report. And the Sea Harriers go in, and then you get Dave Morgan here. I think that's the narwhal he's just hit. That's an Argentine fishing vessel that's become a spy ship, and they had an Argentine intelligence officer aboard. So we can tell that it wasn't really a sea fishing vessel after all. There is Dave Morgan himself. He wrote one of the books, of course, Hostile Skies. I counted them all out and I counted them all back. Brian Hanrahan, the late Brian Hanrahan, a great journalist for the BBC. One of their finest war reporters of all time, for sure. The Super 8 Dards attacking the British fleet with their Exocet air-to-surface missiles, and that is the sad sight of the HMS Sheffield having been hit with one. Of course, it went down. 30 dead. Terrible. Terrible. Anyway, you get the flavour for this. That's Sam Salt. He was the captain of the Sheffield. Looking rather sad. And we've got the Sea Harriers here coming in on Invincible. Lost a couple of Harriers though. Shooting down the Argentine A4 Skyhawks with the Sidewinder 9L Lima. Deadly. It can heat-seeking, but it can also head-on attack. And the Argentines didn't have any weapon to respond. That's Sea Dart. I think that's HMS Coventry. Sea Dart, which I'm building the kit of course, from TACOM, along with the Sea Wolf, which is the next kit I'm building. I've actually started this already. Amazing. I'm going to wind it forward because I don't want to sort of show you the whole thing and just bore you too much, I think. But that's a video worth watching. There's some great action scenes and loading the sea wolf, in fact, and the containers. I must remember that I've got this footage as well because it's some quite useful reference photos here. That's a Skyhook coming head on at HMS Glasgow. Incredible. Sea wolf launching. Rapier anti-aircraft missile system operated by the British Army. Skyhawks in Falkland Sound. Bomb alley. San Carlos Sound, I should say. Bomb alley. More Rapier missiles and so on. And then we've got the Gurkhas coming ashore. Harriers versus the Daggers and the Skyhawks and the Mirages. That's the very sad sight of the HMS Antelope split in two and exploded. Unexploded bomb went off in the middle of the night when they're trying to defuse it. Very sad. Injuries. General Sir Jeremy Moore taking the surrender. That's Colonel H. Jones, who sacrificed himself very bravely but perhaps not very wisely. Got the Victoria Cross for it at Goose Green, Darwin. And the Sir Galahad Burns having been attacked as they were unloading the Welsh Guards. And the Scots Guards, I think, as well. And so a lot of people suffered terrible burns, including Simon Weston, and there he is. British heavy artillery pummels the Argentinian positions. That's the forward operating base at San Carlos Water, where the Harriers were able to land on these tin strips. Scorpion tank, I built one of those, didn't I, from AFV Club. Another Mirage launches an Exocet and destroys the Atlantic conveyor. And sadly its captain, I just realised I made a mistake there. I was talking about the commandos, so Ian North. Ian North was the captain of this ship, the Atlantic conveyor, and he went down in the end. He got in the water and they didn't find him. It was Mike North who was the commando, so apologies if anybody's watching, including him or his relatives or friends. Mike North, I think it was the commando in charge of the, was it like 191 group, was it? Sorry, my memory's failed me. But he was in charge of the Royal Marine Commandos that defended the island on the first day. Victory for Maggie, victory for the commandos, victory for the British Army, but a very high cost, no question about it. And the British Prime Minister, of course, she went on to a convincing victory in the following general election in the politics in the UK. Became the most popular Prime Minister since Churchill at that time. Here they are. Some of these guys are the ones that were the defeated prisoners in the garden at the beginning. And of course they had their day of justice and redemption, and here's all the Argentine prisoners who were captured. And of course they were very well treated by the British Army. They were all fed and given some accommodation and then transported back to Argentina. And that's the return of the HMS Invincible, through-deck cruiser with all the Harriers on it, Sea Kings. And Margaret Thatcher then visited the island about just less than a year later and went to all the grave sites and saw the sacrifice. So there you go. So that was a bit of a quick run through of the Falklands one. Now we had something here a bit different. I'll be very quick with this because it goes on for a while. But basically, what we have here is the Sparrowhawk. Another one of my unusual videos. Wildlife. The Sparrowhawk. The Sparrowhawk sat there on our fence for 20 minutes. And he only moved at the end when I walked right up to it. I moved closer and closer and closer. And in the end I walked right up to it, and that's only then, when I was within 2 feet, did it fly away. Incredible. Aren't they beautiful creatures there? Beautiful but deadly. A little bit of a different one. Another interesting one was our friend in Ireland, we don't need the sound. Our friend in Ireland, Jeff Flood, he showed us this. He sent us the photographs of these wonderful Matchbox Super Kings sets, which I had many of in the 1970s, late 70s, sort of 1977, 78. I was a big fan of these. Oops. And you can see here me flicking through all the different Matchbox specials that they did, and some vehicles as well. And they had the rocket launching, what was it called, Striker or something? Was it? Striker, I think it was called. Something a bit different. Now, these are only photographs that Jeff sent through, but they were such good photographs. We didn't really need the expense and inconvenience and the risk of him sending the actual product. Look at that, there's the hovercraft. Nice little video we made from that, and it was just photographs, and it worked out really, really well, to be honest. Anyway, we're digressing. So back through the history of my channel. Wingnut Wings going out of business, of course, we talked about that a lot. We had quite a lot of these Lakenheath videos, and I did mention that I have this other channel with just my name. If you put Peter Oxley Lakenheath in, you can see that when I got this very successful 1 million views vid, it wasn't first time lucky or anything like that. I'd had to practice, because you can see in this other channel that there's some very poor videos that I shot, and it was trial and error, and then analysing them and learning from them what was wrong, and that frankly I didn't do a very good job. And I thought, no, I need to do this, and this is when I came up with this plan that I talked about of how I was going to shoot this successful video. And of course, as you know, I've talked about it before, I was in the right place at the right time with the right plan, and I got a very successful video out of it. But some of these earlier ones are not so wonderful, you know. FC. This is actually on the day of the good one, so by this time I had sort of refined my technique a bit. And this is an F-15C fighter version, and he takes off, sadly without afterburners, but it's still quite impressive when he gets going. So I'll show you this, I think for your entertainment, just a quick one. It's very short. Now you can see there straight away that there are mistakes made by me to prove the point about how I made errors and then realised and then dialed them out one by one. My panning was poor, my positioning was poor. I was behind, I couldn't decide where to take the photo from. I was behind the security box at the entrance to the base, the gate, the fences. None of which worked, obviously, and that was 20 minutes before the big event, so to speak. And I looked at this and I thought, no, you've made many mistakes here. Rewind, reset, and then I shot the one that really mattered, obviously, and that's when we had the very successful one. We had the ones landing. These were. Just looking through the others. Sorry, zoom you in so you can see this. I'm doing it again. I'm forgetting that you can't quite make this out. So, okay, there we go. So, yeah, you can see the variety of different kits that we've reviewed here, the Airfix catalogue and all sorts of things. The mini match when we had Matchbox March, which was Kirk's.
Very colourful instructions.
Just again, get rid of the voice. When we had Matchbox March here, and this was At the start of March 22, we did Matchbox March, marking 50 years of Matchbox kits, and a lot of you were able... Oh no, look at that beard. Oh, mutton chops beard, look at that. What a classic look that is. And that was one of many that we did with the... there's another one here. Another one, another classic one, here we go. This is showing the orange range mainly, I think. One or two of the ones we hadn't covered previously. Mutton chops again, look at that. Wow. What an interesting style. I was going through my Zulu appreciation phase, I think, there. And anyway, there's lots of other kits that we reviewed, and of course they go on and on and on. The Toyota GT86, someone that people sometimes forget. So all these montage videos where I built the car. This was a model of the car I used to own. Flick through it very quickly. Gives you an idea of the work involved. Trying to recreate the green goo on the engine bay, which was sprayed all over it by Fujitsu Heavy Industries, which is Subaru to you and me. And look at that, it came out really nicely, didn't it? There's the green goo, if you make it out there on the engine, the greeny bits. It's a protectant spray, anti-corrosion. There we go, came out pretty well, really. Anyway, digressing again. And yeah, we go back, and there's so many to take in here. So lots of interesting kits and various, flyovers. I mentioned the Avro Anson. Here it is, flying over my house. I'll get the sound off of this one. Not the best camera work you've ever seen there. It was me boasting about my camera work. Well, clearly I also make mistakes like other people do. But anyway, yeah, flicky back. We've got wing-up wings, we've got some Airfix classics, we've got some of my radio control. Let's give you a flavour of this so you can just taste it for the next video, which we will talk about in a week or two. That one got sound. Now, this will give you a flavour for what it's like with the radio control planes. This is obviously a rearward facing shot. You can see the propeller, the twin boom tail. And we're going to go for a real blast off here. See what you think. So many of you won't have seen any of this, I think. Just getting ready for launch. Checking everything, wind direction. Looks good to go. We are good for launch. Go for launch. Okay, there we go. 3, 2, 1. Anyway, you get the idea. It's quite, yeah, intense is the word I would use. It's not easy to fly, this thing. And then we have Into the Blue. Here we go. Into the Blue is a forward-facing, same sort of thing, but facing frontwards this time. So you find this is a bit more easy to follow, I think. Let's just get this going for you. Anyway, more on this later, because I will do a video just to talk about this, because it's something that I've got 6,000 regular subscribers now watching the channel, and it's something that probably very few of them have seen. So this is meant doing these incredible loops and Immelman turns and Cuban eights and rolling back and all that stuff. Anyway, it is, I promise you, it's quite impressive, and it blows my mind when I watch these videos. It's like, oh. But this is what I said about the eyesight. You need to have good eyes, and I'm very out of practice for this now. I've got these 7 aircraft. It's almost like a little air force, like a squadron I've got. But I'll talk about that more in another video. But it gives you a bit of a taster. So those of you that found that kind of interesting will find it probably fascinating when I come to that. And then we've got all these other various interesting things over the last couple of years. We've got Tale of Two Victors, where we can zoom in. Where we compare Matchbox Victors with the Airfix Victor. That was quite good, I thought. That was a very popular video as well. We had nearly 4,000 views. We got all sorts of stuff here. Here's the one I mentioned where I've got the short shot. I'm going to show you this because I did mention it. Let's just see if I can actually graphically show it to you what the problem was. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. It's there, isn't it? Right, here it is.
And it is, I have to say, it looks completely flawless, that screen.
Not quite flawless.
I don't know why does it. There we have. Yeah, I think it's the same exhaust pipe. So it looks completely flawless in the corners.
Here.
This is the sort of where the magic.
No, that shouldn't have a gap in it.
On that sprue.
No.
And here's your other swooping.
Look, I put my finger in it. I don't think, because I don't realise it's a fault. That's a massive short shot. Huge.
So the parts on this sprue really are the parts, apart from the bits in the middle.
Ouch! Look at the gap. It's huge.
These are the parts that all
that there should not be there.
That ride up and down independently of the car.
That was a bit of a low point for me, I've got to say. I didn't even know it, because I just didn't know the kit that well, you know. I knew the car, but I just thought it was a variant where, you know, there was a little vent or there was a cutout or something. Anyway, so here we go. Matchbox is when we did Matchbox March and we went Matchbox crazy. Any of you that love Matchbox and don't know me, you should definitely join the channel if you haven't already. Tune in, because we have got so many beautiful mint examples of Matchbox kits here. These are all kits I own. All the ones you're looking at now are owned by me. Absolutely fabulous. So many of them. Absolutely gorgeous, to be honest. Mouth-watering. And I get so much pleasure from looking at them, I've got to say. Oh, but there's a problem. What's that in the middle? Is this a dagger I see before me? No, it's not a dagger, it's a bloody Harrier from Kinetic. And not a good one. Another one that's going to give you problems. That said, of course, as we've discussed, the later Kinetic versions of their Harriers do have slightly more sensible instructions, which helps a lot, in fairness. This is where I talk about the Final Countdown movie. And this is an interesting one where I think we should see this. I'm talking about A Tale of Two Tomcats. Let's just put the sound on so you can hear this.
Close to an old warbird, you know. And you can see here that they're having a little bit of fun with them. Yeah, we've got no sound, we'll keep the sound off. But there's some astonishing footage. I mean, the way that Tomcat's got this incredible manoeuvrability, and it's got the wings forward, and it gives it great air superiority for dogfighting, which is exactly what it's doing here. And obviously performing in a way that it wasn't really designed to, having to go very, very slow against an enemy that wouldn't be anticipated at this speed. I mean, it's designed to shoot down Russian MiGs, you know, it's not designed to fight it out with warbirds, but the way it performs and the noises it makes and you can hear the aerodynamic rush, absolutely amazing. Anyway, let's have a look at the kit. I know what you're doing, you're all watching the movie. Let's see if I can get this out. Proper look. Right, so, just point out that we've got the typical thing with I'm just going to watch this. This is a particularly important moment where this Tomcat dives straight down to the deck and almost into the water. Absolutely astonishing. The sound is incredible. And then of course the Zeros, I should just point out, the Zeros get a little bit cheeky and decide they're just going to try and shoot the Tomcats down because they don't know what they are, of course. Plane they've never seen before. Take some pot shots at the American jet fighters, and then the Americans think, actually, this is quite dangerous. And they're actually heading straight for the aircraft carrier. And this is where it gets serious, and you'll see in the background they're about to get splashed. Anyway, the Matchbox kit. Excuse me. I have to say, it's the typical thing with Matchbox. So difficult, isn't it? I want to watch the movie, you know. So, it's not COVID, don't worry. Weather's gone very cold, it's affecting my asthma. Well, he's just gone down, yeah. Okay, let's just watch this sequence for a second, yeah. So, the Zero's taking a bit of a pounding from the Tomcat's Gatling gun cannon. The other one trying to escape, absolutely no chance whatsoever. He's going to get the air-to-air missile, I'm afraid, and I don't think he's going to come out of it at all. Yeah, Sparrow. Game over.
Anyway, there you go. So that's when we're looking at the two Tomcats from Matchbox, and of course the wonderful example that Tammy produced. And I actually brought down with me today, and you've seen this because I did a review of it. This is of course the carrier deck launch version, which has got the complete with the shooter launch guide. Oh! I'm getting some delivery of some more champagne, please. I need it because it's got very warm. Oh, look at that! Look at that! Look at that for service. She's saying there's no more. Is that right? Oh my God, really? Oh, better drink this slowly then. Why doesn't it seem to be full though? I sense the smell of rat here somehow. Oh. If you're wondering why I'm not bashing it on the floor, we've got a special champagne and wine table where I can put it safely. It's brilliant. Just pop it over there, no problem. Anyway, so you've got the deck carrier launch set here, and I've got the standard kit as well. And I've got to be honest, I love them both. This is a beautiful kit. This is one of the greatest kits of all time. In the top 10 ever made, I'm sure. In terms of quality and precision and ease of build, this is a kit that needs minimal glue. Fantastic. Anyway, it comes with the carrier launch set. It comes with the shooter guide. You can see there on the side it's got the it has the carrier base, the carrier deck. It's got the shooter, and of course you have the flaps and slats in the launch position, which is what it's all about really. I'm just going to put that safety pack over there. But Going back to this final countdown video, I think I'm going to do this. I mentioned this before. I think I'm going to do, as we get towards the autumn, I'm probably going to do the Edward Zero, Pearl Harbor Zero, and this standard version, not the carrier deck version I've got here. The standard version of the Tomcat, and maybe put them in a diorama of some description. It's time I did something like that, really. Whereby it replays that scene from the final countdown where he's twisting over to shoot at the Zero. You know, perhaps a bit of smoke coming out of the Zero wouldn't go amiss. Absolutely. Anyway, so that's another interesting one that I did, where it's a sort of a media tie-in where I'm talking about a movie and kits as well, which I quite enjoy, sort of connecting things like that. I think it's quite fun. Anyway, let's zoom you back in. So I flick back because I know this video is taking a long time now. I seem to be here for a while. So here we go. Many Airfix kits, the Hunter and the Mitchell from Matchbox. That rather disastrous Meng triplane in 32nd scale, which had a lot of problems. And then we've got the Harrier, Tale of 2 Harriers, is it? Tale of 3 Harriers. Now, Tale of 3 Harriers, let's just look at this, part 1. Let's go back to the beginning. Because this is another one of these historic things that people really do seem to enjoy.
A couple of videos where we compared old kits and new kits of the same aircraft, and it was obviously the first one was the Phantom, the Matchbox from '75, versus the 2018 Airfix, and then we did the same thing with the Wellington bomber recently, '75 again, versus one from Airfix that again was about 2017, 2018, and it was really interesting to see the differences and also the similarities. And a lot of people have contacted me and said how much they've enjoyed them. So I thought, okay, there's clearly a demand to see some of these old kits, and I thought we'd do it again.
Well, there we go. So that's interesting as well. Another point to draw on this. Look at the packaging of the boxes. Look how they go down in steps. Yeah, 1968 there, 1973 in the middle. Let me make this out. 73 in the middle, and then 2014, I think it is, on the left from Airfix. So even the packaging and the boxes are getting bigger and bigger, even though it's all 1/72nd scale, which is kind of interesting if you think about it. Right, we'll come out and we'll move on. But that's another one you should check out if you like your Harriers. Oh, Ayrton Senna's McLaren Honda here. That's the Tamiya kit. We've got Tiger tanks, and then we've got some of my cabinet shots. And we're talking about this is when COVID was on, and we did the Telford Alternative Show. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Now this is worth talking about. Let me zoom out. So those of you that don't know my channel that well, or haven't looked back on the history of the videos, this you really should check out, because when we couldn't go to Telford, I did this show called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3. Part 1, the good. Part 2, the bad. But they weren't really bad. They weren't terrible at all. They were just not as good. And Part 3, haha, the ugly. They were real stinkers. And it's quite entertaining. A lot of people have enjoyed these, I know. So, for example, where we go. Part 1. It's amazing how people, like to see good kits. And then here we have perfect example. Zooming in. Perfect example of some really nice kits that I'm saying these are highly recommended. Yeah. And here we've got the Meng 1/32nd scale ME163B Comet. Trouble with my focus, it seems. I'll just fast forward from there. So definitely, there we go. So this is a lovely kit, the Comet. Comes with all these removable panels, and it's got the guns, and the rocket motor is exposed. You can have the tail separately. Really, really nice kit. And yeah, you see it's Telford time of the year because I've got my poppy on to celebrate Remembrance Day, which is the 11th of November. And then we sort of look at the Tamiya 48th scale ME 109 G6, which is a real cracking kit if ever I saw one. And we go in and have a good close look at this, as you can see. Yeah, a real stunner. Then we come out and we start looking at the other great kits, which include the Mustang. Check this out. Beautiful Mustang. think a lot of you've seen this recently anyway. Nice kit, and a nice base as well from Coastal Kits. And then of course we have the Spitfire from Tamiya 132nd again, which we talked about earlier. Got some really good shots there of the engine. See some detail, a lot of detail that I had to add myself, including the metal engine plates and the cooling wires and the lubricant wires, etc. Pipes, I should say, not wires. A very nice one. And then at the end I did talk about the most unlikely of kits, which was the P47, the Razorback, the Tamiya 48 scale kit, which, you know, I didn't see it coming and it was really, really nice. So anyway, that was the good, Then there was the not so good, but these are not terrible. Again, they're bad, but they're not awful. So what do we have here? We had the Airfix Jaguar, and we had the, there it is, the not that brilliant Airfix Jag, fairly average at best. Also actually tooled by Hella, this one, and it's still available today. And then we've got the Brabham fan car, sorry, the Hasegawa. Now I saw somebody, very famous modeller, selling the virtues of this kit. It's the Hasegawa Typhoon 148th, and I didn't think this was great. I thought the surface detail was average to poor, didn't enjoy it at all, and it surprised people, but I don't think it's a brilliant kit, that one. Then we've got the Brabham fan car from Fujimi, with its slightly iffy decals, and some of the fit wasn't brilliant, but I ended up with a lovely, they all look decent I think at the end, but it just wasn't that perfect, you know. Anyway, we'll flash through this, because these are the sort of average to poor kits, if you like. Then we've got the Nat from Airfix in 48 scale, which had a few fit issues as well, especially around the cockpit, but looks quite decent. And then finally the F15E Strike Eagle from Revell. Again, fit issues, especially around the top and bottom of the fuselage and the air intakes, as you would probably expect. So on. Joins here were a problem. Yes, quite an issue, but ultimately a nice kit. You know, it came out well in the end. Don't want to be too churlish about it. We ended up with a decent Strike Eagle, that's for sure. And those were the sort of bad and not brilliant kits. And then we had the ugly, which were basically the kits that surprised me by kind of how bad they were, really, you know. So we've got the Mirage 3 from Edouard, which should on paper look brilliant. This reminded me of the Sea Harrier from Kinetic. It looked great on the sprue, but putting it together was a nightmare. And then we've got, sorry, let's look at it in detail. We've got the Vulcan from Airfix, the original tool version. Not really a classic, this. Classic disaster, a little bit, a lot of bad joins, intakes are not good. Pretty poor stuff, to be honest. The new version came out a couple of years ago, is great by comparison, absolutely fantastic. So I'm not sure why we got a flash of my watch there. What was all that about? It's weird, wasn't it? It's like I think I didn't realise I was looking down the intakes. It looked like a watch advert for a moment. Yeah, it's like me. You like me doing this? Yeah. I don't know what that was all about at all. Sorry. Anyway, so I'm saying the Vulcan was pretty poor. Then things get worse, and we get into the hideous Edouard kit I mentioned, the Mirage 3. Not a great kit, but it could be worse. It could be bent like a banana, very, very poor fit, huge gaps, but there are worse kits. And here is one. A really terrible kit. The Buccaneer. 48 scale. Oops, I'm just saying there that I've got blue tack in the intakes because I forgot to put the nose weight in. Whoops! Shows that I am not a paragon of virtue, as I've said before. Let's just listen to this because I have a real moan about it.
It's nasty joined together. You join the two, and I mean, yeah, you know, it looks okay, doesn't it? I'm sure from a distance it looks lovely. And I made a bit of an effort. I did a nice job with the canopy, I thought, with the cockpit. Come out really well, you know. But it was hideous, and it was it was a model I was looking forward to building. The problem was that the top and bottom of the fuselage shell arms were both pulling away like this. So you ended up with this thing where you're fighting it all the time. You've got clamps on it and rubber bands and, you know, grippers, and I had every thought.
Well, it sounds like a kinetic sea harrier, doesn't it? But anyway, so there you go. So that's the good, the bad and the ugly. It's covered. And then we had lots of lovely things. We did an Edward armament set for the GR1, GR4 Tornado. A bit more Sparrowhawk work. The International Space Station. This is probably going to disappoint you. I've got to tell you now. This is going to disappoint. Because what we have here is the International Space Station, and you don't really see that much detail, I've got to be honest. But it is the International Space Station passing over our house. Quite tricky to get the focus on it, I've got to say. Not my greatest vid ever, probably that. But it's tiny, of course. Anyway, we'll move on from that one. I think I've kind of... Maybe I oversold it a little bit. How many views did I get? 53 views, well, serves me right, quite frankly, because it was crap, wasn't it? That wasn't great. Then we had the Phantom Flyer. Now this was an interesting one, something a bit different. I talked about the Phantom Flyer in association with my Battle of Britain video. And in the Phantom Flyer we talked about... Look at this. This is looking at the original Warlord. Let me just find it. The Warlord comic, look at this, from 1973. Absolutely classic. There it is. Phantom Flyer comic strip. And that's not actually come out the way I expected, a particular one. Battle of Britain video. Now this is the one I zoomed out a bit for this. This is the one I said was a bit underrated. 891 views. I don't blow me in trumpet unjustifiably, but this one deserved a bit better, to be fair. That was one that I felt a bit cheated. And you can see here I've got all this material out to support some interesting stories about the Battle of Britain, puts it in a historical context. And most important of all, on this video, one or two of you have seen this recently and agree with me, I actually say that the importance of the Battle of Britain is often, I think today, very much overlooked. Because, as I explained in detail in the video, imagine what would have happened if Britain lost the Battle of Britain. It wouldn't just have been Britain that would have been invaded by Nazi Germany, it would have been a disaster for the USA. Why? Because Britain had the biggest navy in the world, even bigger than America's navy at that time. At that time, in the summer of 1940, the American Navy was still smaller than the Royal Navy. And if the Royal Navy had fallen to the hands of the Germans, Germany would have inherited, with their own as well, the biggest navy in the world, and would have probably conquered America, certainly the east coast of America, leaving the Japanese to conquer the west coast. And it would have been an absolute disaster for the world, and America would lose. America would have lost. They weren't ready. America was in this very... I go into a lot of detail in the video, I've got to say. America's thinking, if you like, amongst the public was very anti-war. They were not ready for war at all in 1940, and this would have been a year before Pearl Harbor, 18 months before Pearl Harbor even, and America would not have been able to resist a huge scale landing by the Germans on one side and the Japanese on the other, with the Germans having the biggest navy in the world. People don't realise this. They don't realise what the numbers would have been. It would have been a very bad situation indeed. In America, you've seen this series, The High Tower. The Man in the High Tower, I think it's called, about the invasion of America with a successful, victorious Germany, you know. And this is what would have happened. And it frustrates me when I read what happened at the time, because our buddies in the USA, many of them recognised the danger. People like the lads that came over in the Eagle Squadron to join the Eagle Squadron in the Royal Air Force. It's mentioned in the Pearl Harbor movie with Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck. He joins the Eagle Squadron and comes over to fight the Battle of Britain. But a lot of people were being misled by their politicians. Oh, really? What, politicians lying? That's not an American thing, that's a worldwide problem. But America did not realise the very perilous situation they were in. They thought it was somebody else's problem. It was a European war and it wasn't going to affect them. They got this wrong. And they should have helped Britain more and sooner than they did. When they did help us, it was fantastic. But they should have thrown their hat into the ring much sooner. Germany would have been defeated sooner. Less American and British lives would have been lost. And I go into this in great detail. Anyway, I don't want to go on about it now. It's a great video. You should go and check that out. I'll put a link at the end. Moving on. I'm not bashing you Americans, by the way. I'm just saying at that particular moment there was a lot of apathy, and there was no appetite for war. There was no appetite for getting involved. They wanted to be very isolationist, and it was a recipe for absolute disaster for the world, not just the USA. Watch the video. I promise you'll find it very interesting, especially if you're one of my American subscribers and viewers. I'm going to put that up at the end. You should watch it. It's fascinating. Then we've got various bits of astronomy, where I don't get many views for these. 100 views, and I think I'm overselling it with a nice picture of Jupiter, and all you see is a little bright little dot. Oops, sorry about that. But then we have got some interesting ones. We've got some footage from RAF Coningsby, which is the British fighter station, which has got the RAF Typhoons, Eurofighters. Help you see it. Let's go back. There we go. So these guys are about to take off basically at RAF Coningsby, which is Britain's premier sort of station for the RAF defence fighters. We have also one up at Lossiemouth in Scotland, which also houses Typhoons. And then we've got, some interesting shots there. And getting back, whoops, I need to zoom in again, don't I? We have thunder. Can you hear that? I said the weather was extreme, and it's got a bit cooler because thunder's coming, so you may hear some claps of British thunder in the background if you listen carefully. Okay, let's zoom into what else we got to offer you. There we go. Got that right? Yeah, there we go. So we've got all sorts of things from the Coningsby site, including the wonderful Avro Lancaster. Look at this. Lancaster with its Bombay doors open. So, it gives you an idea of some of the other things you can see on the channel. Lots of aircraft, winged up wings, Steve McQueen. Another one I'm very pleased about. Yeah, Steve McQueen video, very much in a historical video again, very much in a similar style to the Battle of Britain one we just talked about. And showing you Steve McQueen's glasses here, if you zoom in a bit. Steve McQueen's Persol sunglasses. I've got the absolute, the replicas, but genuine replica made by the original manufacturer Persol, and they fold down into these little tiny things. I'm saying, do I look like Steve McQueen? No, I don't. Okay, enough. Anyway, but that's a good video. And then we've got many more. and so it goes on. Lots of oh yes, there's another one, the Higher Call modelling tribute. I think I did a talk about this, about the book, if I'm not mistaken. I can find it. Oops. Action. Whoops. I've got another beard here, by the way. Have you noticed?
There's a famous book, and you see it here, Higher Call by Adam Makos. He writes the story that he learned about, I think it's his grandfather. Anyway, it's about a guy called Charlie Brown, who was USAF 8th Air Force bomber pilot in World War II. He was very, very young. He was 21 and told everybody he was 25 to get in. And of course the 8th Air Force had quite a tough time bombing Germany, and it was very high rate of attrition, very high casualty rate.
And of course what happens is I talk about the incident where Franz Stiegler, the German fighter ace, lets the American bomber go, and we modelled the Messerschmitt. The BF-109 G6 is modelled on that one, and here we have the build video for the 109 G6. An absolutely superb kit, I've got to say. One of their best, without a shadow of a doubt. Look at this. Brilliant. An absolutely magnificent kit. Highly recommend this one to you. You can now get it, of course, as a twin pack with a Kubelwagen as well. Yeah, we've got the thunder in the background, I'm sure you can hear that. Look at that, isn't it lovely? It's a smashing little kit, this is a really good one. Absolutely superb. That's the Berlin Bear, JG-26, that was Franz Stiegler's squadron. Anyway, you get the idea. So that was the building of the kit, and here we've got many others. We've got looking at what was hoping to build in 2020, back to 2020. Yeah, Tamiya Spitfire updates. We've got the Brabham fan car. An interesting one here. We've got the Yak-11, Soviet Yak-11 at Sleip Airfield, which is worth seeing. Look at this one. About to take off. There you go. Now that's an interesting aeroplane. I'll just zoom out and tell you this. It's a particularly interesting aeroplane because it regularly flies over our house. That hasn't been over in the last couple of months. I don't think we've seen it this year, in fact. But it's a powerful plane. It's got a really meaty radial engine, and it makes this enormous noise when it flies over, and it goes like the wind. Reminds me of a Sea Fury. It's like that, very powerful, you know. So that was again something a little bit different when I went to a local airfield and saw some military aircraft from a bygone era. So, another talk about Formula 1. Here we go, another one of my Formula 1 talks. Formula 1, the golden era of innovation, where we talk about Formula 1 subjects.
Right, short film about the golden age of Formula 1 innovation. Now, this has been a subject I've been very interested in for many, many years, certainly most of my lifetime. Formula 1 is, to many people, is a bit boring, but the die-hard fans of Formula 1 are the ones who can actually remember a time when it was actually quite interesting. Now, Formula 1 as we know it today kind of started in terms of Grand Prix events anyway. It was started with the championship started in 1948, I think the first race was at Silverstone in fact, so Britain is integrally linked with this sport. But there's a lot of major developments and technological advancements in Formula 1 that make it quite an interesting sport, and of course have contributed to road cars a great deal.
Well, there we go.
A lot of things in modern road cars.
I'll leave that one, but it gives you a flavour. And then we've got all sorts of things. We've got building the Revell Eagle, various close-ups. We've got some more military stuff. Here we go. We've got a nice shot of a hawk. That's quick. Shall we see that again? Rapid, wasn't it? Then we've got a lot of these radio control videos. Here's an interesting one. Onboard footage. This is a proper jet where it's actually got the. I've sold it now, but it's got a jet pipe up the middle. Yours truly at the controls, I can promise you. Anyway, I just thought I'd let you see that because it was quite a spectacular one. And then we've got lots more of these. I'll zoom in now. Lots more of these, of course, and this is kind of getting back to the beginning of the 5 years ago, so getting early in the life of the channel, really. Building that Tamiya motorcycle, which is quite interesting. Don't know if I actually talked about this.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
Just be able to
Building the Tamiya motorcycle.
Such a challenge.
It's tiny little.
And so many
spokes.
different things. Your direction. A couple
Really
of weeks'
good
work. Yeah. So that must have been a bit exciting. We have amazingly, and you can probably tell. Hopefully on the button handle, they're incredible. Got parts here of the brakes. This is the brake drum cantilever operating levers which operate the drum. Top it was last Sunday, the whole of last Sunday I spent on it. And here it is. And I've actually had fun today. It's so flexible and true to life. It's a real chain. Comprises of about, I don't know, 240 pieces or something like that. Because there's three. There's like 3 links. It has 2 on one side, 1 on the other, a roller and a collet, a pin in the middle, just like the real thing. So, but it's amazingly. I've actually been having fun making it into the shapes of various Formula 1 tracks. Let me give you an example. I know the Brands Hatch, didn't I? Really. Brands Hatch. Something like kind of like that, isn't it? Really, almost. Not doing very well, am I?
Oh, boy.
Like that. There you go, Brands Hatch. You see, Brands Hatch, almost. I've been having a lot of fun with this today doing this. It's, as I say, if you want to involved in building a video themselves making models, because it's just too long-winded model making. It just takes forever. So we're now up to.
Okay, well anyway, you got a flavour there. That was building that amazing chain for the motorcycle, and then we've got lots of these flying videos. I went through a lot of these early in the days of the start of the channel. Here we've got some driving videos on the Isle of Man TT racecourse. Something a bit unusual. This is in a smart coupe sports car with a turbo engine. Not exactly going at racing speed, am I? Heading down the hill towards Kate's Cottage. Those of you that follow the TT will know what I'm talking about. There it is, Kate's Cottage. Now down the big straight to the Cregney Bar pub at the bottom of the hill. It's a very popular viewing spot. Listen to the wind noise, it's horrendous. Anyway, there we go. Something a bit different. Isle of Man TT course. We've got birds flying, and then we've got. Basically, we get into all the models at the end, and this is where the channel sort of started, really. That's the end of it. So this is where it started. And there's an overlap with the second channel, which had just 20 videos on it. And then into 2017, of course, we had this. At the beginning, might help. So this is. Okay, so this is my most successful video of them all. 8 F-15E Strike Eagles at Lakenheath. Full afterburner takeoff. Here we go. So there we go. That's basically, in a nutshell, a run through really of my YouTube channel. You've seen pretty much a sort of a potted history of the lot of them, really. I hope you found it interesting. I hope that as you're looking through that, if I didn't bore you too much, but as you're looking through it, I hope you saw one or two things that you might think, oh, I'd like to see more of that. If there's any that you think you saw and you couldn't quite make out, then please just shout up and ask me. I'd be very happy to help you to find any that you thought were interesting and you didn't quite spot, or you didn't get the details for it. You can probably hear we've got the thunder, we've got the rain arrived as well now, so we're having some so I probably don't need the fan anymore. I think it's probably, yeah, we can hear the rain. Can you hear that? Yeah, it's arrived, okay. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of say thank you to everybody for supporting the channel. It's 6,000 of you that are regular subscribers, and of course we get every week we get literally thousands of people watch my videos, and I do appreciate it very much. And you know, it makes it worthwhile. I have to say that for those of you that don't know, that YouTube doesn't really pay you a great deal, to be honest. It's all based on advertising, and there are ways you could, you know, via clickbait, you could get more views, but I think I'm like a lot of us that are of similar mind. You don't want to do that really. It cheapens everything, and you want to make sure that it does what it says on the tin really, and that people are going to enjoy the experience of watching a video, even if it's a long one like this where I'm sort of talking a lot and then showing you things. I'm just doing that really to give you a flavour of things you may have missed, and it flicks through. There's several items that you might spot, kits and things that you didn't know I'd done reviews on. You've probably just seen one or two of them. I think it's important to give you the opportunity to see those, and maybe you could then, you know, by all means contact me. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my lighting sorted out here. The rain's coming in hard, that's for sure. I can hear it. Wow. We need it though. We need some rain. So yeah, thank you to everybody. Thank you to ICM, who've recently entered into this special collaboration with me, which has been really nice, and I do enjoy their products. I think they're definitely a manufacturer for the future, with some really impressive things to look at and kits to enjoy making. And I'm going to try and have a go at one of those. It's possibly this one actually, because I've got the paint kit here just behind me. I don't know if you can see that here, the little paint kit. There it is. Let's just pull that out. There we go. ICM paints it. So I've got no excuse really, have I? Not to build one of them at least. So either that one or the 48 scale version, I'll build one of them. And then I'll, as I said, following the guidelines from ICM about their policies, I'm going to be donating quite a few of these kits out. So don't hesitate to contact me. I can't promise you're guaranteed to get it, only because if other people want it, then well, I'll have to pull names out of a hat. But if you are in there on your own, then just send me your details really. Drop me a message, and we'll hook up with some contact, and I'll just ask you to pay for the postage, and that's it. And the kit will be free. And I just would ask you, please, to help the guys in Ukraine, the guys and gals over there need all the help you can give them. And if you just make a donation, I'm not saying how much you should donate, but make a donation in accordance with what you feel will be right, bearing in mind the value of the kit you're getting, then that would be brilliant. I think that as I said earlier, we'd all gain from that. It'd be great fun. Anyway, I've gone on for way too long on this video, and the biblical rain has arrived. I'm going to make sure my windows are closed. I hope you enjoyed it this evening. I thought it was good fun and interesting to see some things. Thanks for all the support I get on the channel from all of you. Please take care of yourselves, and I'll be back soon with some interesting new vids for you to enjoy. In the meantime, thanks very much. Take care of yourselves, and bye for now.